exactly enough players for 8 rounds. So we'll see what does happen here as Morawski did mulligan to 5, so he's just going to play a copy of Verdant Catacombs and pass the turn back. Doesn't want to give away too much information, as Setzer is going to play a Marsh Flats. And we'll see if he does have some sort of Entomb Reanimate draw. Morawski going to sacrifice this Verdant Catacombs. We'll see if it's going to be a Dryad Arbor he searches for.
I would imagine that we're in clean cut territory. We're looking at 7-1s, 602s, and better that make the top 8.
Dryad Arbor is what I like to call the dead giveaway.
Yeah.
On what Jonathan is up to. And if you're Will, I don't think you could possibly be happier now that you've seen a turn 1 Dryad Arbor. Okay, he's playing elves. Got it.
Sweet.
People are now incessantly tweeting at me, Jag Swag, grow up. Here's a Deathrite Shaman.
Soak it in, Jacksonville fans.
That's your 1 for the year.
1 in 15. That's your 1.
And there's a Wirewood Symbiote. Does Will have the Entomb? Oh no. He is activating Marsh Flats at the end of turn.
You know, in fairness, Will has to move fast now that there's a Deathrite Shaman in play.
This is true.
Puts a lot of pressure on him to have a good draw.
I think he has Entomb. Oh no.
And if you're Jonathan, you are thinking in your head,
You probably just have Elishnorn in your hand, right? You just drew it? That's probably what happened. Oh, you didn't draw it. Oh, no. Yeah, well, it's time to time to show us that reanimation spell.
It's been a real pleasure.
See, what happens here is all the opponent's creatures get -2/-2, and then your creatures get +2/+2.
So Gristlebrand attacks for 9.
It does. Here's a Marsh Flats, going to sacrifice that. Will's going to go down to 18, currently losing the life battle.
And Jonathan just asking to see.
Yeah. Can I see the Animate Dead? Here it is. All right, you win.
All right, can we please, we need the official wording on Animate Dead. Can we please find specifically the alpha version of it?
We need the specific wording on Animate Dead. We'll see if our wonderful directors can conjure that up right now.
Yeah, we need Animate Dead on the screen here because that's what we'll use to get back the Elishnorn. And I'm curious exactly how the card works.
There certainly are some players out there who have never seen Animate Dead.
No. So and Jonathan conceded so quickly that we don't really know for sure what the card does.
Yeah.
Aha! Enchant dead creature.
Important.
Any creature in either player's graveyard comes into play on your side with -1 to its original power. If this enchantment is removed or at end of game, target creature is returned to its owner's graveyard. Target creature may be killed as normal.
Well, thank God for that.
The templating in older sets not quite as precise and as sharp as it was back in the day.
Well, I think the clarification is clean. Clarification, is very important. Enchant dead creature.
Enchant a dead creature.
I don't think that you should be able to enchant a live creature with Animate Dead.
Right, which is, and this is why templating is confusing. Dead is not super clear. Does that mean the creature literally had to enter play and die at some point, or do they mean a creature in the graveyard?
Tough to say.
Again, it's open to confusion, which is why templating matters and why I'm so charmed by the alpha cards.
We will take a look at the sideboard here for Jonathan. I don't know if he has a card like Surgical Extraction or anything to help himself as far as reanimation of an Elishnorn.
Jonathan's got some action for the matchup here. He's got a Surgical Extraction, Progenitus, 3 Abrupt Decays, a Malira, a Scavenging Ooze, a Sylvan Library, Natural Order, 2 Thoughtseize, 4 Cabal Therapy. So variety of discard spells here, plus a Scavenging Ooze, plus a Surgical Extraction. That's a real anti-reanimator sideboard. Matchup's still bad, but he's bringing a lot more to the table than he did game 1.
Thoughtseize, 2 copies of Duress, 3 Abrupt Decays, 2 Pithy Needles, 3 copies of Tormod Scripts, 2 Massacre, an Animate Dead, and a Spell Pierce. Notable exclusion, no copies of Show and Tells in the 75.
Yep. I mean,
the
Pithy Needles, as you mentioned, are kind of supposed to play that role.
Yeah.
You need Pithy Needle, you need Show and Tell when your graveyard doesn't work. Normally, your graveyard doesn't work because Deathrite Shaman, sometimes Tormod Script. Pithy Needle can cover those bases.
I do like the ability to bring in Abrupt Decay or additional Pithy Needles in this matchup. Massacre as well.
You're fine hard casting a Massacre?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Let's just go ahead and do that. An additional, maybe an additional Animate Dead if you want to up the ability to reanimate your creatures. 4 reanimates, 3 Thoughtseizes, and 2 Animate Deads gives you 9. An additional Animate Dead can give you 10. So we'll see if anything changes here for Will. Don't have to change a lot. Matchup is quite good for him as long as his draws don't fail. And one thing I found in this matchup is because the matchup is quite good for you, mulligan aggressively.
Yes. For those of you who are wondering what Animate Dead actually does, because the alpha template does not clarify much, it chants a creature that's in a graveyard, either graveyard comes into play on your side, -1 power because it's sick because it was dead. That's the flavor there.
Yeah,
and if the enchantment is destroyed, then the creature returns to the graveyard.
Yeah, that is why I'm not the biggest fan of that card in this particular format, because Abrupt Decay is rather popular. And when you bring a big creature into play, ideally it should not be killed by Abrupt Decay. So when they Abrupt Decay the Animate dead, it takes care of the creature.
Correct. But there is some merit to it, you know?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when you have Tidespout Tyrant in your deck, you can kind of get a little bit of combo going. I've seen Jerry Thompson do that before. So, you know, there are definitely upsides and downsides to it. But when Abrupt Decay kind of hit the scene and became a very wide-played card, I think Animate Dead probably goes to the bench.
And Reanimate and Exhume both come with their own problems. Reanimate, sometimes your life total doesn't allow you to get the thing that you want. And Exhume, sometimes they have something big in their graveyard as well. So all these reanimation spells come with different liabilities.
And there are some times where Exhume is a real delight when you careful study and discard 2 Gristlebrands in the face of a Deathrite Shaman and then guess Exhume. I have been there and done that. I lost that game.
Sure.
Embarrassing. But
what if you had an Animate Dead?
no, I would have lost worse. I actually got to. That's it.
You got to put something into
I
play
get to
at
put
least.
something into play, and I lost. See Morawski can put together here. Down a game very quickly against Setzer. Morawski's going to keep. Dried Arbor is how he's going to start things off. See, it looks like Jonathan does have a copy of Cabal Therapy in his hand. I'm not sure if he has black mana. Setzer with a copy of Pivot Needle.
Did you just snap him off?
What, needle him?
Yeah.
Depends on the context of my hand. I don't hate it. I'm going to sacrifice the Delta here. Not the worst spot to be in. See Jonathan only with 6 cards here. Not the best mulligan hand. He does have a Cradle over there, a Therapy, a Birchlore Ranger. Got some stuff.
A little bit of disruption. Doesn't appear that he has much in the way of engine.
Setzer also using the very quick build of this deck. He does have 4 copies of Lotus Petal, so he's speeding up. Here's a Thoughtseize. Get a little Look-ski-poo. To be fair, this Thoughtseize could be targeting Will. It looks like it's going to be targeting Jonathan. See Crater of Behemoth, Cabal Therapy, Green Sun Zenith, Birchlore Ranger, and the Gaia's Cradle. See what Will wants to take in just a moment.
But not a bad hand for Jonathan here. Pretty immune to this Thoughtseize as, you know, worst case scenario. I guess the Cradle does not facilitate the Cabal Therapy right now, neither does the Dryad Arbor. So Birchlore Rangers is a pretty attractive grab out of this hand.
I would think so. It's actually a very solid take.
But you can also, say, take the Green Sun Zenith and then needle the Birchlore Ranger. So some different dimensions for Will's opening here.
Bye-bye Zenith. Will down to 17, of course. 1 from the fetch, 2 from the Thoughtseize. Morawski draws a card. Another Cabal Therapy. Decisions to be made here. There's Cradle. There's Birchlore. In for 1. Curse Birchlore Rangers tap 2 elves to add any color of mana. Setzer.
Also a Morph, which unclear how many people have been surprised by over the years.
Draws a copy, it looks like, of Reanimate. You can see his hand. He's got a Needle over there, a Force of Will, a Brainstorm.
I believe Gristlebrand and the Needle.
Yep.
Some lands. This feels like a pretty good spot for Will to brainstorm, see if he can do something explosive, and if not, just needle the Birchlore Ranger.
I think I'd be okay with that. Just gonna pass.
Oh, I think that he is planning on discarding Gristlebrand to hand size.
That takes a little while.
I think he can do it next turn.
And then reanimate it the following turn?
I guess. It's a slow burn. Jonathan's hand, he saw it from the Thoughtseize. It's not fast, nor can disrupt it currently.
Uh-oh.
This has gotten harder.
Yeah. The big whammy. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the try to discard plan, personally, because, like, what if he just draws a Black Source and therapies you and hits?
Yeah, there's a lot that can go wrong. Though the Brainstorm does give him insurance against the therapy.
Sure. But, you know, there's also the situation where what if he casts something that you have to force of Will, like Scavenging Ooze?
Well, here's the thing. Will doesn't really have to force a will this, right? He can simply put the needle on Scavenging Ooze. He set back 1 turn.
Sure.
And then he gets a shot at it down the line. The other thing about Will's line of play here is if something goes wrong, he can just pivot, brainstorm, and start playing a normal game.
Okay.
So right now he's trying to win in easy mode, but if Jonathan forces him to win in hard mode, he has the tools to do that.
Oh, there's Force of Will.
So now,
brainstorm.
Now the plan here, I believe, is for him to try to win in a conventional way, probably needle the Birchlore Ranger, and hope that these therapies never come online.
Yeah, I think you just have to try to play a normal game now.
Right.
There's an attack for 2. And one thing to keep in mind, too, is he does need to keep his life total, you know, relatively high as he draws a copy of Marsh Flats, because if you don't, Reanimate's going to get shut off.
Correct.
And these little chip shots from Birchlore Ranger and Dryad Arbor may not seem like much, but when you also have fetch lands in your deck and Thoughtseize, want to keep that life total high. Just going to pass the turn back again.
This is the problem with the line of play from Will, though, is that his only blue card in hand was Brainstorm, which means it's really hard for him to do anything of substance. I think I would have preferred for him to just needle the Scavenging Ooze, try to reset the get to hand size and reanimate plan. Because now this is a bit of a challenge, I think.
I think it's a very large challenge. Now he has 7 cards in his hand. He's just going to pass the turn back again. You're getting to the point now where trying to discard is just going to take too long.
Because this attack makes him fall to 9. Then the next turn, the attack makes him fall to 7. Now reanimate's off the table.
Yeah. So now he has to peel Exhume or Animate Dead.
And this assumes Jonathan does nothing but attack for 2.
Mm-hmm. Jonathan's draw last turn was a copy of Craterhoof Behemoth. His second one of those. His hand is well, it's embarrassing.
It's a mess.
It is just embarrassing. There's Gristlebrand. Gonna untap and draw here. Thoughtseize. Well. Isn't Magic awesome?
It's about the range of experience.
Yeah.
What is awesome about Magic is you never play the same game twice.
And being stoic with that hand.
Yeah.
Of Thoughtseize, 2 therapies, 2 Craterhoof Behemoths, and a natural order. And which your natural order is pretty bad now. Did not get a great look at the card that was just drawn.
I believe it was Entomb.
So now a land's in play. But again, this is the issue all along, is that those reanimates are dead now. He can't reanimate Gristlebrand.
I'm not a fan of Will allowing... If Will's plan here is to just abrupt decay the Birchlore Ranger anyway, then I think his first order of business has to be doing it on his own turn. There's no reason against an opponent with Gaia's Cradle in play to...
Something really bad could happen.
Yeah. There's nothing to be gained.
Morawski's draw this turn was a natural order. Another platinum hit. Looks like he's going to take the 2 points of damage. Maybe some interesting casting in Tomb. Yeah.
Jonathan's hand is outlandish. It is unbelievable to have a hand that bad.
See, if I'm Will, as he's going to search up Elishnorn and put it in the bin, I've got some real interest in reanimating Scavenging Ooze. And if he's got Abrupt in his deck, that means he has green mana. And now we're going a whole different route.
Just trying to Abrupt Decay all this stuff and kill him with the Scavenging Ooze.
Look,
sure.
he's at 4.
Yeah, no, it's... can't really reanimate much else, right? So...
I'm not saying it's pretty.
I would hope not.
I'm saying I'm saying it might be effective. The thing a lot of people forget about Reanimate is that you can target either player's graveyard. Draw a card. Oh, well. How about another Reanimate, good sir? Don't be too proud. Let Scavenging Ooze work for you.
Yep. You got that Gristlebrand. You can eat that too, because you're only reanimating Elishnorn.
Oh, yeah, only Gristlebrand. Yes. Yes, the Ooze is on this side of the table now.
Come to daddy. Jonathan just staring at the hand for posterity's sake.
Yeah. Will is down to 2.
Sometimes legacy decks can be very powerful, and sometimes it's as simple as in the land of the 1/1s, the 2/2 is king.
Not quite sure this is how Will drew it up, but this is where we are. Morawski is going to untap and draw. I can't wait to see what this is going to be. Oh, Wirewood Symbiont. All right.
Oh, it's a castable card.
That's a real Magic card.
It's a thing you can put into play. It has a text box, powers. It's a big upgrade.
It actually has the ability to cast Wirewood off of Dryad Arbor, and then the Cradle will tap for 3? I don't think you can do much more than that, actually. You can't generate any more mana.
Well, if Will is at 2 right now, I suspect if the Dryad Arbor gets tapped, he will respond by using one of his Abrupt Decays on Birchlow Rangers.
Sure.
Because he can Needle the Symbiote next turn, and by Abrupt Decay the Birchlow Rangers, you probably shut down Jonathan's entire turn, given how the previous turns have gone.
I would want to Abrupt Decay this in response if I were in Will's seat.
Yeah, me too.
I just don't know what you're capable of with that Cradle. I've got an idea of what your hand is, but not enough of an idea that I'm safe with this happening. And it looks like this has resolve. No use of the ooze in the end of turn is a little suspicious.
Well, I don't think he has another green. Oh, he wants the option of getting his Griselbrand back, I guess, but I think if he's reanimating, it's just Elishnorn.
It's Elishnorn. Brainstorm, Lotus Petal.
Though with the 2 Craterhoof Behemoths in hand, it's possible Jonathan has nothing in his deck of substance to natural order for.
This is true.
The Scavenging Ooze is gone. So unless the Progenitus came in, which seems poor to me, the natural orders in his hand are really bad. And I like Will probably using the Petal here to Brainstorm, because the upshot of finding one of his reanimation spells he can cast is too high.
Yeah, it's game over then. Also, he's got the fetch land, too, in play.
Yeah.
So it's a Needle. That's a Pluto Delta. That's a Griselbrand. I normally would say the first order of business is putting Griselbrand back on top, but there's a world where you put the fetch lands on top, you keep Griselbrand in your hand, and then you draw a Careful Study, you discard Griselbrand, and then you eat it with Scavenging Ooze.
Yep. Synergistic.
Ooh la la. We're going to play another fetch line here, the Delta.
It's only the one Bayou in his deck. So if he wants to, commit the Needle to the table, it involves fetching, which he may not want to do.
Deathrite Shaman the draw.
Will's taking some fairly big risks, just allowing Jonathan to go to his main phase with all this stuff.
Yeah, with Cradle. That's such a giant risk in this deck.
Because he has no protection against natural order. Now, we all know that Jonathan has nothing left to go get. Both of his Craterhoof Behemoths are in hand, but...
You don't know if he has a card like Progenitus, maybe he brought in or anything like that.
It would have to be Progenitus, which I suspect did not come in.
Would be the end boss if it did. There's Deathrite. Morawski with the long look. Is that okay? All right, that's in. Now Birchlow's Ranger's adding some mana.
Well, now he can really go after Will's hand. I mean, he can make double black here.
Yep.
Start casting a bunch of Cabal therapies.
There's a Thoughtseize. What do you have? Response, gonna sacrifice a fetch line, go down to 1. There's a C. There's an Abrupt Decay going up to the Deathrite Shaman. I think he might be okay with that. Yep, because he's going to pick this up, bounce that.
Yep.
And I think we might be looking at a lethal attack. Yeah, this is just lethal right now. Yeah, can't sacrifice the fetch line. Yeah, so that's going to win that game. All right, so Jonathan Morawski is going to win game number 2 here over Will Setzer in a very strange game.
Yes, strange is the right word for it.
One of the most obscure games I have ever seen in Legacy. As Will give Jonathan his Scavenging Ooze back. Will unable to find a reanimation spell that's not reanimate to get back Elishnorn.
I think he needed to, at some point, ooze away his Gristlebrand.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, there was that turn where he did not activate Ooze. You know, he just untapped his mana.
Wasn't casting his Abrupt Decays or Needles.
Yeah. Got to be more proactive in that situation.
Especially he saw Jonathan's Cabal therapies when he thought he's initially in the game. So we knew that Jonathan had a fair amount of discard, and it was only a matter of time before he found black mana.
Well, I can't wait to see what's going to happen in game 3. I have no idea what to expect.
Neither do I. And again, Jonathan, more sideboard, anti-sideboard cards here, more anti-reanimator cards with the 6 discard spells, the Ooze, and the Surgical Extraction.
Yep. He definitely got some options available to him for the sideboarded games. If he can cast them, that's another story entirely.
Yeah.
As we saw in the last game. To win that game with that hand at the end of the game is...
Well, yeah, just
that's stealing victory.
An absurdly bad hand.
Yeah. I'm awestruck.
Yeah.
I just did not think he was going to win that game.
In this matchup?
Yeah, this matchup is so bad for him. So we'll see what happens for game 3. Setzer's already ready to go. Morawski did take a look at his sideboard. We'll see what happens here for game number 3. Again, we're in round 7 of 8 here in our Legacy Open here from Worcester. We do appreciate you guys joining us at home. Cedric Phillips, Patrick Sullivan, Andrew Shrouts over there in the sideboard, along with the SCG Live crew. Next weekend, Minneapolis. Week after that, Oakland. Should be fun.
Yeah.
A couple of fun trips on the road.
Standard format becoming a little firmer. Legacy format, figuring out more decks that can incorporate Treasure Cruise, Murderous Cut, Dig Through Time.
Yep. Going to see all of those. I think Dig Through Time is going to slowly work its way in.
It's a little bit harder.
Yeah. It's definitely good, but it's going to slowly work its way in. What's an 8-mana spell that Dig Through Time can counter with Counterbalance? I guess Crater of Behemoth?
Crater of Behemoth, Tombstalker, other copies of Treasure Cruise and Dig Through Time.
Nice.
And I'm trying to think if there's anything else. There's probably other random cards.
Gristlebrand?
Yeah.
I don't know who's hard casting that.
Technically.
Yeah. Here's a swamp and a passing of the turn. Morawski's going to draw a card. Sacrifice. Inverted Catacomb is going to lead off with Deathrite Shaman. That's a Force of Will. There's a blue card. See you later. No Deathrite Shamans allowed here against the reanimation deck. See what Setzer can put together in his next turn. He's just going to play a Polluted Delta and pass the turn back. Not sure how powerful his hand is here.
It appears that he has no way to put the Gristlebrand into his graveyard. If he has a reanimation spell, a Gristlebrand, a Petal, but no way to get something into his graveyard just yet.
Morawski going to draw a copy of Green Sun Zenith. Play a Wooded Foothills as the land for the turn. This is another copy of Deathrite Shaman. Well, sacrifice the Wooded Foothills. Let's see what the follow-up's going to be. Another bio will get searched out. You have to imagine some sort of 1-mana elf will be coming here in just a moment.
Yeah, Nettle Sentinel, and a Green Zenith. Got some options.
Looks like old Birch Lore. That looks like it might be in there. This is kind of the reason, in games like this, you see Polluted Delta is going to get sacrificed here. Games like this are where you can find yourself actually utilizing Massacre.
Sure. No,
hard
Massacre
cast
makes,
angle.
you think of only really bringing against Death and Taxes, but it makes a lot of sense.
And you certainly need it there. Looks like it's going to be an Abrupt Decay that's going to get cast here. Note that Will does not have blue mana now, though. Going to take care of the Deathrite Shaman. in response to the Virtual Ranger. That sequencing may have come back to hurt Morawski on this turn.
You think he should have opened on Virtual Rangers first and Deathray Shaman?
How the turn plays out.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. Maybe he's worried about days out of a Reanimator deck. They do play it.
They do play it.
But the way that he played it, you know, you are right in the way that Jonathan played it. If he plays it the other way, Will either has to abrupt decay the Virtual Rangers or allow Jonathan to make 2 mana.
Yep. Heritage Druid the draw. You see the Nettle Sentinel, 2 copies of Green Sun Zenith. The natural order is what Morawski is working with. Nettle Sentinel.
I think you might be right about Massacre in this matchup.
It's not the most exciting thing in the world, but especially when you have Lotus Petals in your deck, you can really catch someone off guard.
Yeah.
It also gives you another answer to Deathrite Shaman, if that's a kind of brick walling what you're doing.
Which it is, especially if you're in Will's position, because he's not playing something like Show and Tell. There's no alternate way to get something to play. He has to go off through the graveyard, so...
Speaking of Deathrite Shaman...
He has to kill or needle every Deathrite Shaman that comes through.
This is the third one. Looks like Morawski's going to cast another Zenith here. So now his hand is just natural order, but natural order is good for the kill next turn because it just searches up Crater of Behemoth.
Yeah.
So that's plenty fine. And there's the 4th Deathrite Shaman. So about that Massacre. Looks like Ponder may have been the draw. Going to start by sacrificing the Marsh Flats, going himself a little Underground Sea.
Every time I do the math and you say something like Courier Hoof is lethal next turn, and I'm like, is that really true? And then it is by 25 points or something like that.
It's just true.
Cedric, are you sure? Oh, yeah, it's 47 points of damage.
It would kill Morawski and the other guy in a feature match. There's a Ponder. Well, that's resolving, so let's take a little look-ski-poo. Lotus Petal, Reanimate, and a Mystery. Let's look at maybe Gristlebrand. Either way, Will doesn't like what he sees. Gotta shuffle him away. We'll see what he can find. Pithing Needle.
Well, that is help against the Deathrite Shamans, but it may not be what this game is about.
Not anymore. I imagine those Deathrite Shamans have been locked up by the Needle. And we do have confirmation from our table spotter. That's exactly what the Needle's naming. Verdant Catacombs the draw. Now the big question for Morawski is, will he go for it with natural order?
Well, the thing is, the worst thing that happens is it gets countered and you're down a creature, but your creatures don't have a lot of value, you know? They're just attackers, so the upshot is you win the game, and the downside is maybe your clock's a turn slower at worst.
That's about it.
Stands to reason that Morawski will go for it here.
Well, I think it's go time. 3 mana. 4 mana now. You know, sacrifice the Virtual Rangers because the Nettle Sentinel will untap because a green spell has been cast. And Morawski says, does this resolve? Well, he's reaching for his deck, so the answer is certainly yes. And as Brad Nelson would say, hoof, there it is. Everybody come on in.
I believe that's 35 points of damage, which should do it.
Jonathan Morawski is going to win this match over Will Setzer. 2-1. Elves somehow sneaks by Reanimator.
Well, Will's draws in games 2 and 3 were a little bit fumbly. I think in game 2 there could have been a different sequence. Once he went on the discard to hand size plan that gave Jonathan a lot of time, in spite of having a hand with nothing castable, to draw out of it and eventually win.